Well, everybody, I don't know what the keykeeper's up to today, but he's obviously destroying something, and he's destroying it in foolishly close proximity to our mother Spiffy Park Avenue. So he's going to have to move that, I think, because I have a feeling he's getting ready to sledgehammer his trailer ball out on the bumper of that truck after we pulled that stuck four-wheel drive out with it. But that's not what I am going to talk about today.
Oh, sure it is.
No, it's not. My truck's in the body shop. I finally got my appointment made. And in the meantime, this is the car I was loaned. This is a 2001 Buick LeSabre Custom. It's in pretty good shape. It's pretty darn clean, really. The Oldsmobile, I think the Oldsmobile is actually a slightly nicer car in a lot of ways than this one. But at least this one doesn't have any unscheduled body work on it. Although, seemingly, I found a bunch of papers in the glove box that pertain to the previous owner of this car before the dealership got a hold of it and started using it as a loaner. Anyway, evidently, the car's been smoked in. Smells like it's been smoked in, but the keykeeper and I soon had that figured out. I got some pine trees hanging in there. Now, in a lot of ways, this is a very comfortable car, but it's for being a 2001 and for that being a 2002, there's a lot of interesting differences between the two. The dashboard is much flatter with less curvature in the 2002 than it is in this car. As you can see, there's a lot of swoopy stuff going on in there. And I like the instrument panel of the 2002 a lot better. This is another 3800 Series 2 based car. But the interesting thing about what's under hood is that the battery is one of the things that you will not find under hood on this car. It's actually underneath the seat back there. It has a special vent pipe hooked up to it, so it won't, according to the book for the car, it won't end up leaching sulfuric acid and hydrogen gas into your seat belts and weakening them. It also won't leach it into the cab with your passengers and weaken them. Anyway, a lot of similarities to the 97 Olds here. We have this artifact for the automatic climate control, which this car hasn't got, but at least it was an option. The radio's different, and the radio's higher up. Used to be the climate controls were on top in the 97. Anyway, as far as fuel economy goes, I haven't filled this thing with gas yet. I put a full tank in it shortly after picking it up, and I don't know what it's doing for economy yet, but I'm going to go fill it up, and I'll report on that subsequently. I'd expect, based on the instant economy meter, which shows up down here in this information cluster, I'd expect that this thing's probably getting right around 30 miles to the gallon, which is pretty good for a car of its size, with a fairly large V6. It's got a cloth interior. I've got a seat cover on my side. Probably cover up burn holes and stuff. Anyway, let's crank this thing up. Okay, one of the things that's kind of odd about this car is the way the instrument cluster initializes when you turn the key on. You turn it on, everything comes up. But when you go to start the engine, and this effect is a little disconcerting to me, because this car is so quiet it's hard to know that it started. Although the engine will start, the tachometer will reinitialize itself and won't start reading correctly until after it has reinitialized. Listen carefully and you'll see what I'm talking about. See that? A CD player and a cassette deck, and both of those work fine. And the manual climate controls are actually pretty nice. Look, there's the old cold forgotten Buick coming in. Alrighty. This thing has the most unique cooling and heating fan I've ever heard, too. It throttles up smoothly. We'll see if you can hear that better on vent. And it also has a tremendous amount of inertia to it when you shut the car off. Keeps on spinning for a long time. And speaking of ventilation, this car has the most unique heater output floor vent I've ever seen. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or if it's broken or what, but I think that thing looks kind of cool. And guess what? I don't really care if that's weird or not, because if all these people all over YouTube want to crank start cars and pedal pump them, I think it's pretty safe to say I can get excited about a heater outlet vent. Anyway, let's go for a ride. Won't run over my dad, though. Alrighty, here we are on the road. It is pretty much as you'd expect. A very luscious, well-behaved car. Got a nice ride to it. Just rolls right down the road and gets it done. Of course, it does have a very good sound system and one of those nifty motorized volume controls. We better not play that too long, though. YouTube might get kind of irritated about this if I submit it as a partner video, which I'm intending to do. But now to the question that you've all been asking. How does it perform? Well, it performs about like any other 3800 V6 equipped Buick, Olds, or Pontiac vehicle. Now, initially, when I went to pick up this car, they weren't going to give me a car quite this nice. They were going to give me a 97 or a 98 Buick LeSabre. I made it all the way around town, around the dealership, and finally hit the highway before I realized that particular car had no heat. I think they didn't want to give me a car this nice because seemingly young male drivers are a very high-risk category, although in the grand scheme of things, number one, I'm not sure where they got that idea, and number two, in the grand scheme of driving ages, I'm not that young anymore at 27. Look how fast this car will go. Woo! Look at that acceleration. No, I'm just goofing around with the English and metric readings. Anyway, there you go. It's a very nice car. Now we'll see what kind of fuel economy I'm getting. Probably not very good after that particular stunt. Uh-oh, could this be the largest piece of the Keykeeper's truck that was left whole? I don't know. Time to go to the gas station with the Buick and see what kind of mileage I'm getting. Alright, now that I'm done making trouble with this car, got some gas for it and everything, let's see what kind of trouble the Keykeeper is getting into. What kind of trouble do you suppose the Keykeeper is getting into? Obviously he hasn't completely decimated his truck yet.
Now I'm going on an adventure instead.
He's going on an adventure instead. Well, it's always more fun to have an adventure than it is to fix your trailer ball, I guess.
I'm going out to get a bigger hammer.
Okay, well that's a way to fix it.
Alright. Want to go with me?
No, not really. I gotta go get some batteries for my calculator.
You can do it anytime.
So, how'd we end up doing on fuel economy? Well, let's punch it into the trusty old calculator here. Looks like we ended up getting around 20.5 miles to the gallon. I'd have really expected better out of a 3800 equipped Buick, but on the other hand, I did do a lot of high-speed driving on the interstate and such like. I do drive with something of a lead foot, even though the little computer in the dash tends to discourage that by showing you truly depressing numbers when you get on it. And I do a lot of in-town driving, so I guess it's really not that bad. But by comparison, my 2003 Chevrolet S10 would usually get somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 to 18 with city driving. Anyway, that's the complete story about the Buick that I've been loaned.